Hello and welcome to another episode of Kiss and Tell. I'm your host, the Lion Man. We're going to come live to you tonight, and we got special guests all the way from Las Vegas. You know what they say about Vegas? What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So before we get started, we're going to do some yard work here. Please go to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, and YouTube. Subscribe, like, comment, rate. Help grow this podcast. We're having a great time doing it. Today, the three things we're going to talk about are the top 5 worst Kiss albums and some of those songs that appear on those albums. And we might talk a little bit about the artwork. So I have a fellow member of the Kiss Army, a good friend of mine from college. And when I was in Montana, a long, long way from my home in Tennessee, I met this gentleman and we started talking, and somehow or another the topic switched to Kiss, and we were both looked at each other like, oh yeah, we have that in common. And we became friends. He's a father of 3. He's a cooker for the elderly. He's a former political blogger, and he works construction. So I'm going to turn it over now to Mr. Randy Neal. How you doing out there, Randy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good, brother. Good to see you.
Good. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Now, Randy, can you tell the people out there in podcast land how you first got into the rock band Kiss?
Wow. Tax my memory there. It goes way back to mid 70s, and is actually a babysitter. And babysitter was a Kiss fan, had posters all over their walls like we all did as young kids and stuff, stick up your idols. But they had their entire, wasn't a space on their wall that wasn't covered with Kiss. So of course when they're babysitting us and stuff, they were always playing Kiss music and stuff. And as a kid, kind of the theatrics and the makeup and stuff kind of, just brought something besides music to a young kid. So that was actually how it started, was the babysitter playing it and stuff. And my older brother liked it, so then he started getting into it and buying it, and it just kind of grew from there and just has never left.
Yeah, it was like Marvel comic book heroes that played music. It was something different and unique.
I actually still have the Marvel Kiss comic that was printed in their blood.
Now, I'm about to break your heart, so don't get too mad at me.
It wasn't real blood.
No, it was real blood.
Oh, okay.
But the blood never made it into the actual comic book because there was a shortage of ink at the print company, and they used it in ink before they were supposed to, and the actual blood is in the June 1976 Sports Illustrated issue that has Big Bird on the cover.
That's a great story. I did not know that. Although it doesn't matter because I still have the comic. But
exactly. And I thought, how poetic is that their blood ended up in a magazine that had Big Bird on the cover. Oh, yeah!
A sports magazine at that, too.
Right. I went down to my local comic book store. I'm going to give a shout out to Dimension Comics here in Kima, Texas, right on the Gulf of Mexico. I literally live a mile from the Gulf of Mexico here. And this comic book store is really, really big, has a lot of variety. And I talked to the owner the other day, and he put my name down for if and when they get a hold of another Kiss comic book, the 1976 Marvel edition. So hopefully he'll give me a call one day. We were going to talk today about the top 5 worst Kiss albums and some of the songs on there. And believe me, this wasn't an easy task because as much as I love Kiss, they put out some shit over the years.
Yeah, I
And
would have to totally agree with that.
I think that that's one thing that makes Kiss Army fans unique is, yeah, we love them, but we also recognize the cheese. We also recognize, you know, they they've made some shitty stuff, and it's not like we get offended that easy when people make fun of them because hell, we make fun of them too.
Exactly. That's what makes them such a great band.
You know, it's way more interesting to talk about Kiss than it is, you know, like Kansas, which is a great band, a great prog rock band, an amazing band, super talented, just boring.
They, yeah, they just don't have all that excitement surrounding them.
Yeah. So I'm gonna let Mr. Randy Neal start with his number 5 worst Kiss album of all time.
Oh wow, that's tough. It's definitely got to go after the original four left. Probably going to have to go to Asylum as my fifth least favorite.
Asylum.
Asylum, yeah, great tour, but not a great album.
That reminds me of our first episode where one of the trivia questions were uh, something about the hornet's nest.
That was one of the questions I got wrong because I was actually answering the questions while you were giving them too, even though nobody could hear me. My coworkers in the kitchen thought I was kind of crazy, but
You wanted the best. You got the hornet's nest. So yeah, Asylum. That I always remember those videos because Jean looks like a one of the Golden Girls. And all those videos, like Tears Are Falling, All Night, Who Wants to Be Lonely. Now I really like Who Wants to Be Lonely. I don't know why, but that song really for me is really catchy. I really like it. And I love Bruce Kulick's solo on Tears Are Falling. But
yeah,
those damn neon green gloves Paul's wearing as he's swinging by the volcano.
yeah, yeah. The outfits, the album, yeah, I could just do without that one. It's like it's actually harder to find a song on that one I like than one that I don't like.
And that was their first official album with Bruce Kulick because Mark St. John had done Animalize, and at that time Mark was having health issues, and they just let Bruce slide in and take his place.
Yep. Yeah. After Vinny's short stint there too.
Vinnie Vincent, man, that guy is an enigma to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah. My first Kiss concert I saw, which was the Creatures of the Night tour, I almost didn't go to because it came out in the paper a day or two before the concert. Ace had his accident and wasn't going to be playing, and that there was a guy filling in for him, and I almost did not go because of that. Glad I went.
Yeah, that'd been interesting to see Vinny because I heard that him and Paul used to get on fights on stage all the time because Vinny wouldn't stop soloing when he was supposed to. Oh yeah!
I don't recall seeing that, but of course I only saw Vinny once. So
yeah, apparently that was something that was a habitual thing from him to overplay solos, and Gene and Paul would give him the stare of death, like wrap it up, and he'd keep going. So,
must be why he was only on one album.
exactly.
Or do we still call them albums? I still call them albums.
Yeah, I do too. I'm old school. I call them albums.
I still have that album too.
You do? Wow.
Up until I think Elder was when I stopped buying albums.
Nice.
So, yeah, I still have all of my albums. I had a record player I listen to them on still.
Now, the other day when I went to Dimensions Comic, I bought Kiss Alive 2 for like $12 album. So, and then
Nice.
you know what I did because it was sealed in plastic. I
Seal?
made but it wasn't new, but they had sealed it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So what I did is I made my kids come downstairs and get off the PlayStation. I'm like, hey, you guys, get down here, get down here. I want to show you something. Oh, Dad, do we have to? I'm like, yeah, get down here. So they finally come downstairs, and I have the album laying on the kitchen island, and I said, I just want to walk you through what it was like when I was young to buy an album and have a physical copy of some music. So I said, all right, now I'm opening the plastic, and they're sitting there bored out of their mind, right? And I said, look at the front. I said, look at the back. Now, when they saw the back and saw the four pictures in Gene Spit and Blood, they're like, oh, that's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then when I opened it up, you should have saw their eyes. They're, oh my God.
That's the greatest inside album I think ever. That's my favorite inside.
Yes. And
Of course, not a lot of them open like that, like the book does. But
yeah.
yeah, just that picture in there, that crowd, and all of that. That's just amazing.
And I said, so imagine opening these albums, and then inside the albums, sometimes you'd have the lyrics to the song. Sometimes you'd have tattoos, stickers. Love Gun had these little pop-up guns. I said you'd have my little posters. I said, so you'd have stuff in the albums. And that's why, as kids, we got so excited about buying albums. And now you guys want a song, you just hit a button on your phone and you got it. I
Yeah.
said, but you got no physical property.
It's like when you used to sing the words and you'd sing the wrong words because you couldn't find the lyrics anywhere. And then somebody'd be like, no, it's this. And then you'd hear it again and be like, oh, wow, I was singing it wrong all these times.
Yeah, that happened to me many times.
Oh, yeah. Too many for me.
Okay. My number 5 worst Kiss album of all time is Monster. So have you listened to Monster?
Honestly, no. I'm just actually looking at a list of the songs on it, and I can't think of one that I heard.
Now they have a song on there called Hell or Hallelujah, which is a direct ripoff of Deep Purple's Burn.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's not a bad song, but you could tell where they got the inspiration from it, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was looking at it, and I didn't mind when they replaced Eric or Peter Criss with Eric Carr because it wasn't a cat, it was a fox. And then they replaced Ace, and Vinnie Vincent had the onk thing on his face. Not quite sure what that was supposed to mean, but when they brought back Singer and Thayer, and they have Ace and Peter makeup on, it's just rubs me the wrong way.
So are you to tell me, Randy Neal, you don't have a Tommy Faker and an Eric Switcher action figure?
Not at all.
You know what they're doing now on tour is they're having a piano come from the bottom of the stage and rise up to the stage. And then Eric Singer's going out on the piano and pretending to play because he's not actually playing and singing Beth.
That's just terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. And I told my friends, I said, you know what? I feel sorry for Eric Singer, not in the sense of I mean, he's getting paid good and he has a steady gig, so that's a good part. But you know, Eric Singer's an extremely talented drummer. And he can play way better than what Paul and Gene are having him to play because they're basically saying, hey, you got to play like Peter. And maybe not exactly, but you know, you got to be in the ballpark.
You're in the Catman costume. You got to play like him.
Yeah, and poor Eric Singer. I mean, I love Peter Criss, but when it comes to technical prowess on a drum kit, he couldn't touch Eric Singer. And Eric Singer's having to having these constraints put on him, and he's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. But I don't think it's good for either side. It's not good for the fans because we want one Catman, you know, find a different makeup or whatever. And then for Eric Singer, it's like, damn, You know, I could play a lot more than what I'm doing. So,
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
on that album for me, I put down the worst song is "Take Me Down Below." I don't. You've probably never heard it, and you should
Nope.
be thankful that you haven't. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave that there.
I'll say I'm kind of curious to hear Hell or Hallelujah now, just to see the Deep Purple
Oh yeah, listen to
copy.
Burn. Yeah, listen to Burn, then listen to that. It's almost verbatim. Now we're going to go to your number 4 album, Mr. Neal.
My number 4 album, it would be Hot in the Shade.
Okay.
Just I actually remember buying that one. That might have been actually the very last one I physically bought. And yeah, it was, I don't know, looking at the songs on it, they got the song Love's a Slap in the Face. That's kind of what the album felt like to me, was kind of like Kiss slapping me in the face.
Uh, you know what they should have named that album?
What's that?
Shut Up and Give Me Your Money.
Yeah, it was the last time they got it from me.
I mean that album is horrendous.
Yeah, and that's another one where it's like fighting to find a song that I actually like on it. And I think Rise 2, it's about the only one on there that I like.
Randy's gonna rise to it. You know he really can do it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit! I feel like I got a blood clot singing that.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
excuse me. I will say that that concert was amazing. The Hot and Shade concert. I got to see Eric Carr, God rest his soul, and his drum solo on that tour is one of the best drum solos I've ever seen by anybody.
Wow.
And were you able to catch that concert?
I did not see that one.
Man, that was like when that show was over, it's like people's mouths were just wide open. It's like, oh my god, that was an amazing show. And it was just, they came out and they looked, more leatherish, black hair, and they were just raw, and they played a lot of like a lot of gritty rock songs from the early days, and
Nice.
it was really good, man. And when Eric Carr went to his drum solo, they had this disco ball come down and spin and all this stuff. And then they had the Sphinx that's on the album cover
Yeah.
behind Eric, and it was probably like 30 foot tall. It was huge. And while Eric was playing his drum, about halfway through it, Leon, that's the name of the Sphinx, Leon opens his mouth and his eyes, and lasers start shooting out of his eyes. And his mouth, he starts talking while Eric Singer's playing the solo, and then he starts singing, the Sphinx starts singing God of Thunder.
Oh, wow. Cool.
It was like,
Yeah, I
holy
missed
shit.
that one.
That's
And,
one of the
and
best.
it's rare that I missed one too, because they came through Vegas twice on their first farewell tour. I think their first. I don't know if they've done a second one or not, but after I saw them, they started the tour in like California or something. Were here right at the beginning, and then on their way back, they actually played the same tour twice in Vegas. I went both times, and I said my goodbye to them. That was the last time I've ever seen them. I've had several opportunities to see them since, but I was like, nah, I said goodbye to them.
Yeah, the last time I saw them, it was the tour after Cycle Circus. Was that the farewell?
Yeah, because I saw Psycho Circus.
Okay. So that's the same tour I saw him too. I saw him in Tampa, and I think Ted Nugent was opening up for him.
Nice. Sweaty Teddy. He's a good artist too.
Yeah,
Like
he was like swinging on a rope like Tarzan, shooting buffaloes and stuff.
the Great White Buffalo.
Yeah. So So Hot in the Shade, terrible album, but a great concert.
Yeah, which isn't bad because Asylum, was a bad album, but great concert too, or a great tour.
I didn't see a song.
Well, it was a little neon-y, but I mean, the stage and all of the effects and stuff were good.
Okay.
Typical Kiss, other than neon.
So what would you rate the Hot in the Shade album cover, out of 1 to 5, 1 being the worst, 5 being the best?
Let's see, 1 being the best. It would be down towards 5. I'm just not a fan of that Sphinx head with the glasses on it.
Oh, so all right, so 5 would be the best. So you
Okay.
rate them
So
like a
be
1.
down. Yeah. Asylum's album cover. Well, I don't know. That one's terrible too.
Like I said, folks, there's a lot of shit to choose from.
It's better than Asylum's, because Asylum's is like that cartoonish neon.
Yeah.
So, Asylum would be the worst one. Hot and Shade would be next.
Now, I would rate the Hot in the Shade album cover maybe like a 3, just on the fact that I saw the Sphinx on the cover in concert, and it was like really cool. So whenever I see that album cover, I just immediately think about the concert. I don't think about the shitty songs inside.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So we're going to go to my number 4 pick, and it's none other than Sonic Boom! Boom!
Oh, man.
Boom!
I think most of our albums will probably be really close to the same, just different orders.
Right? I remember buying Sonic Boom. This is how delusional Kiss fans are. And I'm sure you've done this too. You buy a Kiss album, you listen to it, and within an hour, it's this great fucking album, right? Oh, this is great. This is a great album. And then you call your friends that are Kiss fans. Oh, have you heard the new album? It's really good. Oh, yeah, you should check it out, man. And then a month later, you never play it again.
Yep. That's how Hot in the Shade was. I didn't buy Sonic Boom. They stopped getting my money. Gene hates me now.
Oh, yeah. You're a traitor, Randy.
I know. I don't even buy memorabilia anymore.
So do you remember they put out Modern Day Delilah as their first single off that album? You ever heard that one?
And it sounds familiar.
Modern Day Delilah.
I probably heard it from my brother.
It's actually not a bad song. I think just if you talk about the band without Ace, without Peter, with that core group they got now, that's probably the best song they've done as a core group with Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer. And that's pretty sad because although it's not a bad song, it's not a great song.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, I can listen to it. But I think the worst song I have from that album is this terrible, terrible attempt by Kiss trying to make Eric Singer into Peter Criss, even by the way he's singing. And there's a song on that album called All for the Glory. So if you think the title is cheesy, Randy, you should listen to the actual song. It is terrible. And it's Eric Singer doing his best to be Peter Criss.
Oh, wow. Oh, I was going to say I have a little button to click for lyrics, but they're not available for that song, so maybe that's a good thing.
They wouldn't even put them on the web, man.
Yeah, it's like, no, just buy the album.
God. Did you ever get Hell or Hallelujah? Did you find that one yet?
Yeah, I saw it on there. Let's see. Oh, no lyrics on that one either.
Hell! Oh, hallelujah!
It gets me because I can click there and purchase the song or the album, but it's like, Now I can go find it on YouTube, I'm sure.
The
Everything's on YouTube now.
the only song I can halfway stomach on Monster is that Gene song, "The Devil Is Me." The devil is me. It's okay, but uh, on the album Sonic Boom, the artwork, I give it a 1. No, actually, no, I gave it a 3 because they try to make it look like a retro version of Rock and Roll Over.
That's what I was going to say. Is it looks like they're trying to steal some of that because Rock and Roll Over was such a great album cover.
And it might have even been done by the same guy who did Rock and Roll Over artwork.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through to look at both of them
I'm
too
not
because yeah,
sure.
they're Rock and Roll Over is a great album cover, and yeah, they tried to bring that back and did not do a good job on it.
Not
It's
at
pretty
all.
bad.
So we're back to Mr. Randy Neal. He's going to tell us his third worst Kiss song in history.
Kiss album.
I'm sorry, album.
See, I would go to Crazy Nights as my third least, third least favorite, I guess is the right word.
Yeah.
But Crazy Nights, yeah. That'd be my next one.
Uh,
Terrible album cover. That would be, like a 1 or 2 again.
And what are some highlights, or shall we say lowlights, from that album?
No, no, no.
Oh my God.
That song, no, no, no. Bang,
Hey,
bang, you.
that's gonna be on one of my episodes of whether it's a Kiss song or an adult movie.
They get it wrong. They will get it wrong.
Now, it's hilarious that you chose the song "No, No, No." Once this podcast is over, I want you to go to YouTube and pull up Chris Jericho Kiss cover band "No, No, No." So he just released his version of "No, No, No" like 2 weeks ago, and it's him singing. It's the drummer from the country singer Luke Bryan, and it's the two current guitarists from Trickster. So they call themselves Quarantine. So they got together and they redo 1980s Kiss. So the first song they did was "No, No, No," and they actually did it really good. It's actually way better than what Kiss did.
I was gonna say I was waiting to hear that.
It's way better.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, Deep in the Night. Oh, come on, really?
Like a thief in the night.
That's another one where it's like, gosh, Crazy Crazy Nights. Is that the best song on the album? It might just be.
Well, that's when they had the producer who did like the Heart Bad Animals record. That was a big hit for Heart. And it took Heart in a different direction, from Barracuda and Dreamboat Annie and stuff like that. Took them in a whole different direction. And so Kiss was like, hey, you know who's popular? Bon Jovi. So that was their attempt at trying to be Bon Jovi. So they brought in this guy because they wanted to have him polish the type of music that would be similar to what Bon Jovi was doing at the time.
That kind of reminds me of like Asylum and then Crazy Nights. Also, it's like it wasn't Kiss. I mean, it's like they were trying to be somebody else. Trying to stay relevant, maybe.
Oh yeah, keep up with the trends.
Mm-hmm.
And that's been the theme throughout their career. And it started with 1979 Dynasty album.
Oh yeah.
Which I love that album. But,
yeah,
you got to call a spade a spade.
Exactly.
So, what's your rating for that album cover?
Like a 2.
Okay. The old this isn't like a little fractured mirror type.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a fractured mirror, so you see like their face and then half of their faces, and Yeah, I was gonna say if I flip it upside down, I can see. I guess that is Bruce and Eric. Of course, Gene and Paul, you can see when the album's the right way, but the other two they don't care about, so it's hard to see them.
Oh my goodness. So my third worst Kiss album in history is none other than Carnival of Souls. And no, I did not see that tour, nor did anybody because they never toured for that album. That was right when they got first got back together with the originals, and so that tour never happened. And the reason why I didn't like Carnival of Souls is just like you said a minute ago, Randy. It wasn't them. They were trying to catch the wave at that moment, and that wave was grunge music. That wave was "Oh, life sucks. Let me wear a flannel shirt and tell you how bad my life is." And what was interesting about that is Gene spent the first 2 or 3 years of grunge music making fun of it, and then he turns around and records an album trying to be grunge.
Yeah, like they used to make fun of disco, and then I Was Made for Loving You came out. Their little take on disco.
And there is a couple songs I like on Carnival of Souls. I like Childhood's End, and I can listen to The Jungle. I mean, it's not great, but I can listen to it. It's not terrible. But they're chasing something that they're not, trying to be relevant in the moment. And the song I picked out of that off that album that I disliked the most was a song called Rain. And Paul Stanley sung it, and it's basically him trying to be Chris Cornell, Lane Staley, Kurt Cobain, all rolled into one, and just talking about how bad life is and how bad life sucks. I wish it's gonna rain, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You ever listen to that album?
No. Looking at the lineup on it, it's like I can't think of a song I've heard off of it, which is bad for a Kiss fan, but especially because it went back to the original lineup.
Now there is an Easter egg on that album.
Hmm.
So here's the Easter egg, and it's just something I think is true. It may not be true, but I just think it is. So you know that Gene's a huge Beatles fan, right?
Yeah.
So in the end of the Beatles song, "All You Need Is Love," as it's fading out, at the very end, as it's fading out, they quit singing "All You Need Is Love" and they start singing "She Loves You." You can hear it very, very low in the background, and you hear them go, "She loves you, yeah," and it's really slow, and they're clapping right as the song "All You Need Is Love" is fading away. Now, on the song "Childhood End," Gene Simmons is singing the song "Childhood's End," and at the end of the song, he starts singing, I believe it's "God of Thunder." Yes,
Hmm.
it's as the song's fading out, you can hear him in the background start singing very low the lyrics to "God of Thunder." So I think that
Huh.
was
No,
his nod to the Beatles.
I'll have to check that out now. God of Thunder is a good song.
Oh yes, great song.
Yep.
I would rate that album cover a one. I should have gave it a zero, but I was being nice. It's just them standing in a room doing during a rehearsal, and somebody
Yeah.
took a picture.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now, and yeah, it's pretty poor. Pretty poor.
So Randy Neal, you're up. Your second worst Kiss album in history is.
And now I'm copying you because number two, Sonic Boom for me.
Can I get a little boom action?
I don't know. Can't have my wife coming out yelling. She works early in the morning. Sonic Boom.
So tell me your history with that album.
Absolutely none. I want to say my brother has it and probably made me listen to a song. I'm thinking that it was probably Modern Day Delilah because he'll still always buy the new Kiss albums and have to be, oh, this song is so good, this song is so good, and play me the song. And yeah, I'm not sure if it was Modern Day Delilah or not. Looking at the list on them, I could get onto all the bonus tracks on the CD. I could like all of them, but yeah, not the 10, 11 original new songs that were on there.
Now, there's a song on there called "Danger Us," right? You see the song titles.
Hmm. Yeah.
So here are the outstanding lyrics of that song. It's like, "Danger you, danger me, danger us." So get it, dangerous, but danger us.
Yeah.
A little wordplay by Mr. Stanley there. And if I'm not incorrect, I believe uh, Tommy Thayer sings a song on that album.
Wow.
Like, is there a song on there called like "I Walk Alone" or something, or "Lightning" or?
When lightning strikes.
Yeah, when lightning strikes. Yeah, that's Tommy Thayer.
See, and that sounds like they're trying to rip off Shock Me, you know.
You think?
Like you dress like Ace. Let's just play some electricity because he got shocked once.
Sing about lightning bolts or going to outer space.
Exactly.
You can do it, Tommy Faker.
Oh, that's great.
My second worst Kiss album of all time is the one that's currently being displayed behind me, and that is Unmasked.
Mm.
Now, I know some diehard Kiss fans throughout the year have kind of grown a soft spot for this album, and there are a couple songs I like on it. I like the "Is That You Walking Down My Stairs?" Right? That's not
Man
bad.
battle stations torpedo. Man battle stations torpedo.
Uh, I kind of like Shandy for some weird reason. It's got like a country twang to the guitar.
I would say of all of the ballads and stuff they've done, that is probably my favorite one. I'm not a Beth fan, and most of their slow ballad type songs I don't like, but Shandy was probably the only one that I really kind of liked for their slow ones.
Yes, and I don't know who's playing guitar on that song, but I'm pretty sure it's not Ace because it sounds like a country twist to it. I'm not sure. Maybe it's Bob Kulick. Who knows?
I was going to say that's an 80, and that's when he was getting kind of messed up. And if I remember correctly, they were having a lot of other people do the studio work for Ace because he wasn't coherent enough to play or coherent enough to show up. Or I remember a lot of talk back there in the early 80s before he finally crashed and got kicked out.
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of this album, and everybody's like, "Oh, you gotta listen to She's So European." And after I heard it, I'm like, "No, I don't have to listen to that. It's pretty bad." But the worst song for me on that album is Two Sides of the Coin. It's terrible. It's just god awful, man. And
See, listen to this album so much because I remember getting it and being all excited, unmasked. Oh, you thought inside there was going to be that the pictures of them with no makeup on or something like that because it was unmasked. So, but I can remember doing that and having younger cousins and stuff around. So yeah, when we listened to it, it was just the greatest thing ever. But see, I'd say Torpedo Girl probably is one of my least favorites on there.
that's another good one.
Yeah, that was bad. I was waiting for you to say that.
Oh, it wasn't easy, man.
Yeah, yeah. Looking at it, it's oh man, I liked this in '80.
I mean, if you're a fan, you would have found a way to justify about anything they put out.
Hmm. Oh
And
yeah.
that album, for some reason, hit big in Australia.
Hmm.
It didn't sell shit in the United States.
Mm-mm.
By this time, most rock fans had given up on Kiss. Kiss was putting out. Here's a perspective for you. Kiss was putting out this shit unmasked. AC/DC was putting out Back in Black.
Yeah.
That's all
Yep.
you needed to know.
Hmm. Yep. That says it all right there.
That's all you need to know.
Yep.
But for some reason in Australia, the fans ate this shit up. And I think Shandy might have been a number one song in Australia.
Wow. I didn't like it that much.
They were so popular in Australia that they were when they went over there in 1980, they were selling Kiss ice cream.
I actually had a VHS tape, and it was I don't really want to say rockumentary, but it was like a big show dedicated to Kiss. And yeah, they were showing the Kiss ice cream and just how crazy Australia was for Kiss at that time. And it was a pretty interesting show.
I think at one point in 1980, they were saying um, 3 out of every 4 or 5 people had bought a Kiss album in Australia.
Wow.
Yeah. And you know, Australia is the home of AC/DC.
Oh yeah.
But here's
Yeah.
something a lot of people don't realize. A lot of Australians kind of turned their back on AC/DC once Bon Scott died. Because for a lot of them, they're like, that's not the real AC/DC.
Yeah.
And they never really accepted them.
Well, kind of like I did with Kiss, they started replacing their members and trying to make them pretend to be others. Then I can kind of get that from the Aussies down under.
Yeah. I mean, but Brian Johnson doesn't have a good voice, but he fits that type of music.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
he's done a hell of a job filling in that emergency situation.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah,
what I can't get behind is freaking Axl Rose as the lead singer of AC/DC. I don't know.
Oh,
I just looked on the stage. I'm like, that doesn't look right. I don't care how it sounds. It just doesn't look right to me.
yeah. No.
I was not behind
Not a
it.
fan. When I heard that, I was just like, what are they thinking? I mean, golly. Go onto YouTube and find somebody, that has a voice and can sing, or somebody that, sounds similar, but yeah.
I always thought that maybe Paul Rogers could have been a good fit for them.
Hmm.
I mean, but he doesn't have that graspy voice like Brian Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
Paul Rogers can actually really sing,
Yeah.
but I think he could have made it work.
Definitely. Yeah. Just about anybody could have been better than Axel.
Yeah, and I, did Malcolm pass away? I know he's no longer playing, but did he actually pass away, Malcolm Young?
I don't know.
I can't remember. I know he got sick. I knew he wasn't in the band anymore, but I can't remember if he actually passed away or not.
Let's see. My computer's up. If it'll work quick enough, I can say if he did or not. Dead at 64.
He did pass away.
Yeah, in 2017.
And see, a lot of people don't like to hear the truth, but this is the truth. Angus Young was not even the best guitarist in AC/DC. And his brother Malcolm was the one that came up with all those killer riffs. And he was the heart and soul of that band. And he was very shy. He didn't want the limelight. And Angus had the look. Angus is a decent guitarist. It's not like he's trash or nothing.
Yeah.
But Angus had the image, the little schoolboy uniform, and he liked being out front. And he was if you ever see Angus in concert, he doesn't stop moving. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
I always wanted to see Angus on stage with Mick Jagger to see who would stop moving first. Because Mick doesn't stop either.
I was going to say, I've never seen the Stones, but I've seen AC/DC, and yeah, he I could not believe, even like in between songs, he's still moving around, and couldn't believe he shake his head that long and not get dizzy or something.
Right. So without Malcolm, nah. I mean, it's funny how people never picked up that Malcolm was the guy that made it go for that band. He just didn't want the limelight. He's just like, hey, little brother, go get it. Go do what you want to do. But yeah.
And he ran with it too, because everybody knows Angus Young. Nobody knows Malcolm Young.
Yeah. You say Malcolm Young, and they're like, well, who are you talking about? Like
That kid from the Cosby Show.
Right. Malcolm Jamal, was it Warner? No.
Yeah.
That was
Malcolm Jamal Warner came up when I was searching. That's how I remembered him.
I get into constant arguments with people on social media about Angus Young, and I always say, look, Angus Young wasn't even the best guitar player in his own band. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, AC/DC is known for killer riffs. Who do you think created those riffs? It was Malcolm. AC/DC is not known for solos. I mean, Angus has a couple solos here and there, but nothing to is nothing to make you like, oh my God. But Malcolm Young's riffs, they were timeless, man. Timeless.
Oh yeah. Best thing about AC/DC was those guitar riffs.
And it's just like Aerosmith. Everybody knows Joe Perry. Joe Perry's not even the best guitar player in Aerosmith. Brad Whitford is the man in that band. He's the one that comes up with those great riffs. Joe Perry, I never liked his tone as a guitarist. I hear his solos, and it just sounds so freaking weak. And I'm like, dude, turn up the distortion or something. You know, it just
so hard. He's not playing with any heart or anything. You know, he's just playing.
And did you know this? I did not know this. The very first album that Aerosmith made, they kicked, and when I say they, I'm talking about the producers of the album. And I think the producers might have been Bob Ezrin, but don't quote me, but it might have been Bob Ezrin. The producer of the album would not let Joe Perry play on that album. He brought in Dick Wagner from Alice Cooper. And in that first Aerosmith album, the whole album, the guitarist is Dick Wagner.
I did not know that.
So when people start talking about Joe Perry as a rock god or all-time great, I just laugh at him. I was like, really? Not even the best player in his own band.
It's always funny. The ones that get all of the limelight, you know, like they're not the one that should be getting it all.
Yeah. But I give Joe Perry this. He has a great style. I like his style. If you see the way he dresses and the way he moves on stage, he's got a good style. He's just not a memorable player. I've never heard an Aerosmith solo and go, oh my God, that's a great solo. I've heard Aerosmith solos and go, man, he needs to turn up his distortion or something.
It's like, we're not even going to start singing again.
But you know what? Aerosmith has killer riffs. Walk This Way, Sweet Emotion, back in the Saddle Again. Oh, that's a freaking monster song. But guess who came up with those? Wasn't Joe Perry.
Yeah.
And I think Slash is a huge Joe Perry fan. Because if you look at the way he dresses a lot like Joe. He just threw the top hat on.
I was going to say, I think I heard something about him being a big influence on Slash.
Yeah. But I really like to hear Slash play, even though he's, sloppy or whatever people say. But he plays with a lot of feeling, and I love his solos. Now, did you hear the Ace Frehley album where him and Slash are doing the Thin Lizzy song Emerald together?
No, I don't think I've heard that one.
So if you go to, I think it's called Origins, Ace Frehley Origins. He redoes like Spanish Castle Magic by Jimi Hendrix. He does White Room. He redid White Room by Cream. And he did Emerald, and I believe that's a Thin Lizzy song. And him and Slash play together on that song. And in the middle, they have like a guitar battle, like they start going at each other, and it's really good.
Oh, cool. I have to check that out because yeah, I know on Ace Frehley Anomaly he recovers a bunch of songs too.
He
Where
did
he's
Eddie
recovering
Money.
ELO. Um,
Really?
yeah, he does. Let's see, what is it? Do ya? Do me? Do
Oh, do you ELO? Yeah.
yeah. And then I was trying to think. He does. Oh gosh, I can't think of it now. It's actually funny because when I hear it, it's one of the remakes that I like better than the original. That's gonna drive me crazy now.
You're not talking about 2000 Man, are you?
No, no.
Oh, you're talking about Fox on the Run by Sweet?
There we go. Yeah, sweet. Fox on the Run.
Yeah,
And
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's actually real similar to the original. I mean, you almost can't really tell the difference, but I like Ace better than Sweet. So
I always liked Sweet. They got a lot of flack for being a glam band, but I always dug Sweet. And I like Slade too. I
yeah,
was
they
in,
had a lot of stuff covered from them too. Sweet did.
yeah, I was always into glam, even though a lot of my friends hated it. But it's like I don't, I like the image, but it's got at the end of the day, it's got to be good music.
Yeah, yeah. I actually had a friend who he used to glam when we go to school. He, spend all the hairspray and had the big hair, and I mean, he was really, really glam and really into it. Went to school that way, and that was a little bit more than I was into it, but I did enjoy some of them glam bands.
Yeah, they had a big influence on a lot of bands in the United States in the early '70s, England, Europe. Your number one worst album of all time, Mr. Randy Neal.
See, and originally I was thinking of Monster, but I can't even think of a song on it that I know of, so I'll have to revert back in the '80s. My worst Kiss album, like from the '80s, was The Elder. I remember when The Elder came out, I was so disappointed, even after, Unmasked. At the time, Unmasked wasn't bad. And The Elder came out, and it was just like, I could not even figure that one out. Listen to it, you know, and yeah, so I'm going to have to rate that one because I know I've listened to it. It's one of those, like you were saying, that you listen to it, and it's like wasn't even great for a month. It was just bad right off the bat. And I don't, just do it one time maybe in the existence of the album.
You just made my co-host TJ Fedek so happy with that answer because he hates The Elder too, and I actually like it. So me and him are always arguing about The Elder. So you just made him very happy.
Yeah.
I was living, Randy. I was living in Lompoc, California when this album was coming out, and I remember seeing commercials on television of this guy walking up to this door like covered in fog, and it shows that handle, and it says the new album by Kiss coming soon, and I got so freaking excited, dude. I was like, holy crap, that looks cool. And then when I heard it, I was like, this is god awful.
Yeah, I always remember the build-up for it. It was supposed to be a concept album, is what I was led to believe. You think concept albums, you're thinking like Tommy from the Who or something, where it's going to be this great story about something, and it was a story I fell asleep on.
The thing with me is I probably went 15 to 20 years without listening to The Elder. And then one day I was like, what the hell? I'm going to sit down and listen to it. And when I sit down and listen to it again, I start liking it. And I'm like, man, this isn't as bad as I thought. And then I kept listening more and more. And yeah, there's some shit on there, no doubt. But the songs like Mr. Blackwell, the songs like Black Light, which is one of Ace Frehley's best solos he's ever done in his career. Um, the Oath has a killer riff in it and killer drums. The only thing that kind of takes the Oath in the bad direction is Paul's falsetto, where he's trying to be Barry Gibb. I mean, there's something I cannot see. I mean, if he wouldn't have put that cringeworthy falsetto in that song was killer. But that kind of just like, oh man, a lot of people, they heard that falsetto, they say, I can't deal with this. And then you have the Just a Boy. No. But there was a song on there, and of course, they brought in ghost writers for this album because, like you said, it was a concept album. And Kiss don't have the writing ability to write a concept album. So apparently it was Gene's brainchild. He was the brainchild of this, where he had this idea, hey, I want to make an album based upon this. And he told Bob Ezrin, and then Bob Ezrin started bringing in these ghostwriters because he's like, shit, these guys can't write stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so he brought in these writers, and these writers were like legit writers. They were like really good writers. Lou Reed was on the album. He was like probably the most well-known. But he had big-time writers, like talented writers come in. And if you read the lyrics to these songs, you know damn well Kiss didn't write that. I mean, there's a song, I can't remember the name of it, but I heard the guy that wrote it give an interview one time. And he said something that really kind of freaked me out still to this day. He goes, they were like, what was your inspiration for writing the song? He's like, I wanted to write a song that captured the past, the future, and the present all at once. And then if you go and listen and just look at the lyrics, you're like, shit, man, that's some good lyrics, man. And it's way above Kiss's pay grade as far as lyrics.
Yeah. I might have to listen to that one on vinyl again now.
So, there's some songs like, I like Escape from the Island, which is basically an Eric Carr drum solo, and a little instrumental him and Ace did together. That's really cool. Mr. Blackwell, it's a great song. Dark Light by Ace, like I said, that solo is one of his best solos he's ever done.
See, that makes me want to listen to it right there. Ace's best solo. I gotta hear that.
It's top 3.
Nice.
And there's like, I like the song, was it called Under the Rose or something like that?
Yeah.
So there's like 4 or 5 songs in there that are good, solid songs. And what makes them really good for me is that somebody else wrote the lyrics, and the lyrics are not talking about having sex and being a demon,
Yeah.
So the lyrics for a lot of those songs mean something. And they're supposed to tell a story, and the story's messed up and it's stupid. And Bob Ezrin was messed up on coke while he produced the album. So he really, and then Ace, he's the one that really didn't want to make the album. The other ones were forcing him to make it. He didn't want to do it. And he's the one that actually did good on the album. So, yeah, I'm going to have a podcast real soon. In this podcast, and maybe we can have you back on and you can be part of the discussion, Randy. It's going to be the Elder versus Hot in the Shade. So TJ's coming to the ring with Hot in the Shade. The album I hate the most, little spoiler alert. And I'm coming to the album he hates the most is the Elder. And we're going to sit them side by side and we're going to duke it out.
Man, that means I have to listen to both of them. And they both made my top 5 worst.
Oh, God. Yeah. So since I've already went there, my worst album of all time is Hot in the Shade. I mean, just a god-awful album. It's like Kiss wanted to make some money without doing any work. So they went into the vault and all the recordings and just found throwaways that didn't make other albums and put them all together. Say, hey, look, we got an album. And it was.
You mean the street giveth and the street taketh away wasn't a a hit waiting, an unfound gem sitting on the floor of the studio?
Oh my God. No, I guess not. I guess it wasn't. And I guess Tito was really the king of the streets too. We got to find that out.
Is that on this album?
Oh yeah. Hey, hey, hey.
I was gonna say Ace redid that song too, and it's actually a little bit better.
Yeah, it's a little bit. That song's. I've heard like 4 different artists do that song, and the song's terrible no matter who does it. But yeah, I think Ace's is a little better.
Yeah, not good, but
I think Bonnie Tyler redid that song too. I think she closes instead of closing her concert shows with Total Eclipse of the Heart, she goes, I want to tell y'all a story about a guy named Tito.
The king of the streets. Johnny better run, better run.
Better hide your heart.
That's the name of it. Now I remember the name of that song. Isn't it Hide Your Heart? Name of that song?
Yeah. And Eric Carr sings a song on that album. Is it Little Caesar or something like that? I don't know, but Eric Carr even hated that album because they put a lot of drum machine. They took his drums out and replaced it with drum machine.
Doc Carr was a very underrated drummer.
I did too. I love Eric Carr.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that album is it's just not good, man.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
I don't know. I feel like they should give all the fans a refund who bought that album.
Yeah, that ain't happening. You ain't giving nothing back.
We know that.
You know.
It was a great concert, just a terrible album. Now, in that concert, I don't know if you remember this band, Randy. Their name was Danger Danger.
I remember the band.
Bang, bang, what's that sound? I give you my love, then you shot me down. Basically, I think everybody in the band was like 6'2" and had long blonde hair. So they were opening up, and it was their last night on the tour. And Gene was messing with them by pouring Coke in their boots while they were playing. True story.
At least we know it was Coca-Cola if Gene was pouring it in their boots.
Did I ever tell you the Mark Slaughter story of the Hot in the Shade tour?
Uh-uh.
I had a really, really good friend in high school. This is shout out to Mike Watts, who will be on this podcast pretty soon. Mike went to see the Hot in the Shade show in Nashville. Me and my cousin Taterbug saw it in Memphis. So Mike, after he saw the show, he was telling me about it. And I was like, dude, how was the concert? Because he had never seen Kiss before, and that was his all-time favorite band. And he was jonesing, man. So I said, how was the concert, Mike? And he's like, it was one of the worst times of my life. And I said, man, they were that bad? He goes, no. He's like, let me tell you what happened.
Oh.
And I said, what happened, Mike? He said, well, you know, Slaughter was one of the opening acts before Kiss came on stage. And I'm like, yeah. He goes, let me tell you, Mark Slaughter's voice live is so freaking annoying, I couldn't take it. He's like, he sung in the same high register the whole time, no matter what song they did. It was like, you gotta fly to the edge, right?
Wow.
And he said it was like that for their whole set. And he said his register would never come down to give our ears a break. So he said, I took my fingers and I put them in my ears like this to kind of muffle the sound because it was really that bad.
Wow.
He said, so I'm sitting there like this, And all of a sudden, a bodyguard, a real big bodyguard, comes up to me and grabs my hand and says, "You come with me." And I got real defensive. And I'm like, "Well, what are you talking about? I didn't do nothing." He goes, "Look at your hand." And so he looked over his hand. And he had blood coming all down his hand. And the security guard said, "What happened, man? Why are you bleeding?" And he goes, "I don't know." So they get backstage and he stops and he goes, "Dude, I must have pushed my finger so far in my ear that it ruptured it. And now it's bleeding all over my hand." And so the security guard says, "Dude, I'm going to call you an ambulance. You got to get to the hospital right now." And so he says, I got mad because I was thinking, my God, I've been waiting all my life to see Kiss, and now this happens. And he says, on his way walking through backstage, there was Mark Slaughter leaning up against the wall with like 3 girls all over him, kissing on him and stuff. And he said he walked by Mark Slaughter and he stopped. He goes, "Look here, you son of a bitch. If I meet Kiss, I'm coming back. Miss Kiss, I'm going to come back here and kick your ass." And he said, Mark Slaughter's eyes got like the size of a silver dollar. And the security guard says, "Hey, man, come on, come with me." So he went to the hospital. He came back. He missed a little bit of Kiss, but he saw a majority of the show. But yeah, that's the true story.
Wow. I always remember thinking Slaughter Mark was such a great singer and stuff. I thought it was going to be about when he died because he was a local boy from Vegas. So yeah, it was a big thing when he passed away here because he was just like the local hero, and I never heard him live.
I didn't think Mark Slaughter died.
Yeah.
No, he didn't die. The guitarist, Tim Kelly, the lead guitarist for Slaughter, died. But I don't think Mark Slaughter ever died. Check it out.
I'm looking real quick because I just remember.
I don't ever remember hearing Mark Slaughter died.
Wow. He fronted the Excursion before joining the Vinnie Vincent Invasion.
Oh yeah,
I Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Yeah, he was the singer. Boys Are Gonna Rock.
Who was it then? It had to have been the guitarist.
Yeah, well, I think his name was Tim Kelly. I'm not sure. It was the guitar player for Slaughter. I remember he died. Yeah, because I don't remember Mark Slaughter hearing about him passing.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, I just saw, had an ad pop up for the Big Rock Summer Tour with Rat, Cinderella, Skid Row, and Slaughter. So,
really? Yeah. I want to go to that.
That didn't sound too bad.
Yeah, I wish Sebastian was back in Skid Row. I freaking love Sebastian Bach, but apparently he's not easy to get along with.
Let's see. Let's see. Alive and kicking at 55 years old. So, yeah.
Yeah, Mark Slaughter. Up all night. Randy's going to sleep all day.
Sorry I made you dead.
Mark Slaughter, we apologize for killing you before you actually died.
Yeah. And sorry I didn't know it was Tim Kelly.
I don't know if that was his name or not. I think it was Tim Kelly. I think that was his name. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But I remember one time they said that song "Fly to the Angels" by Slaughter was written for Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Oh, wow.
The passing of Stevie Ray Vaughan. So I thought that was cool because I was a big Stevie Ray
fan. I really like him.
The way he played rhythm and lead at the same time was supernatural.
Let's see. Yeah, it doesn't look like it was Tim Kelly.
Was that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Ran into a tractor trailer.
Ugh.
Oof.
That had to be tough.
I'm guessing he had to be local too, because I remember, everybody in town was just all broken up about it.
Yeah, because I think Slaughter was from Vegas. I think that's where.
Yeah, he was born here. I'm not sure about the rest of them.
Yeah, so when Vinnie Vincent was kicked out of Kiss in 1984, he formed his solo band, the Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and Mark Slaughter was not the original lead singer, but one of the guys that used to be in Ace Frehley's band was the original singer. Then they brought Mark in later, and Mark was on the single they did for the Nightmare on Elm Street movie. Love Kills, I think was the name of the song. But yeah, Mark Slaughter says that Vinnie Vincent was a despicable human being as well. He
I had
goes,
heard a lot about that. That he just was not a good person.
no.
But never
Did,
met him.
did you know that the Vincent used to write the songs for the TV show Joni Loves Chachi? True story. True story.
Wasn't did that even last a whole season?
Maybe. And I mean, how many people even remember that? Not many.
I'm one. I remember we're all excited because there was a spinoff. Chachi was the cool kid from Happy Days.
Yeah.
Watch him get have a young kid running around here trying to figure out what he's doing up at midnight.
My son just came in too. He's sitting down here looking at me like I'm crazy.
He got my phone. He must be looking for the Xbox controller because he's been playing some Xbox game on my phone.
How old is your boy?
That one was 14.
I got a 15-year-old.
He just turned 14 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
And my oldest actually graduates this year.
Oh,
Friday.
wow.
This coming Friday is his graduation.
That's awesome. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, it's we'll actually get to go to it. They're having it on the football field, so we get to drive into the parking lot and sit in the parking lot and watch them graduate all of the whole class. So that'll be kind of neat.
That kind of reminds me, because I was thinking the other day, you know who could have made a lot of money during this whole restriction, COVID-19 quarantine thing, was if you owned a drive-in theater. Because think about all the people you could have rented it out to, where they had to stay in their cars with their little radios at churches, businesses. I mean, you could have been busy.
Now it goes through. We still have a drive-in theater in Vegas, and now you tune to like a radio station on your car, so it's not even the cheesy drive-in speaker you get to listen to. You can listen to it through your car.
Okay.
Of course, the theater here is kind of bad because half of the screens are like facing towards the strip, so there's so much backlight you can't really see much.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, they could have been showing movies. I mean, it'd been a good time to own a drive
Yeah.
Theater, man, no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, Randy, we're gonna wrap it up. I just want to say thank you for your time. I know it's late there in Vegas. I appreciate you staying up and contributing. It was great to see you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I enjoyed it.
And
we'll have to do it again when we're not talking about things that suck about Kiss.
But I wanted you to come back for the Hot in the Shade versus the Elder, baby.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll even do some homework on that and listen to both of them again. Get them the fresh hatred in my mind for both of them since they made my top 5.
Yeah, because we got to have a tiebreaker. Because I'm going to vote for mine, he's going to vote for his, so we're going to have a tiebreaker.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Settle that, man.
Yep. Definitely.
So, yeah, we'll definitely have you back on. And thanks for everybody for listening. Be sure to subscribe, like, rate, comment on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Stitcher, and Podchaser. And until next time, Sonic Boom!